Sons of Sanguinius, as well as Blood Angels Knowers. This is Screws and Studs, and welcome back to the channel. Lately, the channel has been dominated by the nefarious schemes of the Alpha Legion, but now we are back on the grandeur and elegance that is the Blood Angels. So in this review, we are going to be taking a close look at the last Blood Angels action figure that's going to be released for the Horus Heresy for a little while, who is Zephon, the Bringer of Sorrow. Let's see if this machine more than man lives up to our high expectations.
Alright, first to mix it up, we are going to do a size comparison of Zephon to other select Space Marines. And just to let you know, Zephon is a version 4 Space Marine, so he should be the same size as Titus. And lo and behold, we can confirm that yes, he is the same size as Titus. Moving along, we have the version 3 Intercessor over here, and again, this guy is literally a helmet's taller than the version 3. As the Dawnbreaker is based off the version 3 Space Marine, he also is a helmet shorter than Zephon here. And then it should come to no surprise with the Crimson Paladin, as he is in Cataphracti armor, that he's going to be taller than his brethren over here in Artificier armor. This exquisite looking power sword is clearly quite massive and stands even taller than Zephon himself. Much of this weapon is dominated by this unique looking blade that has a porous center for added flair, I suppose. The hilt is a very massive Blood Angel symbol, which also has function and form. Sadly, JoyToy once again skimped out on the shading between the feathers in this area. When you open the box, these Volkite Serpenta pistols come holstered, which gives off a vibe of a dual-wielding cowboy of the Wild 30K era. These pistols have their very own special names, which are Lament and Grief, but I don't know which one is Lament and which one is Grief. I do, however, like the blend of gunmetal black and gold that are present on the weapons. The only real difference is a skull on this one and a blood drop that is located at the base of the wing section in the middle. Otherwise, these are highly detailed pistols that I enjoy the look of. And it looks like Zephon is privileged enough to receive a Legion Warhawk jump pack, although it is a lot more highly modified than the ones that you see in the Dawnbreaker's cohort right here. Zephon's jump pack is a lot more compact, but does not spare the details, in which there are many things. Perhaps the most striking features of the jump pack is the ornate golden iron halo at the peak of this giant engine, as well as these massive gunmetal intakes which dominates the rest of the front. Around the back you see these monstrous jet engine turbines which add an extra layer of flavor of realism. Then finally there are these small vectoring engines that you can actually pivot back and forth and kind of spin around in a limited fashion, which further augments the feeling of realism. With the head and helmet area, alright, call me crazy, but when I look at this bare head of Zephon, I was immediately reminded of the Korean doctor turned actor / comedian Ken Jeong. I swear that this resemblance is rather uncanny. Regardless, the full head of black hair does not have any highlights on them, which is a slight disappointment to me, but is not actually as disappointing as the lack of shading on the face. I am a broken record when I say time and time again that the shading and highlighting does wonders to add more detail and definition that this face sorely needs. Moving on to this glorious beaky helmet, it stands in contrast to the face because it actually does have a smattering of shading, especially around the armor junction points. The most distinct feature on this helmet, however, are the massive lenses. I'm a big fan of how they look. It is so insanely detailed that you can see the sparkles of silver underneath the green. And then finally, there's a nice nod to the Blood Angels with a carved blood tear. So zooming in on the pauldrons of this Artificier armor, the left one is slightly bland with these golden studs on a black background. Opposite to that is obviously the right pauldron, which has a ton of delicious flavors that are blended into this very small compact area. This off-white skull has depth that is given to it by, for a lack of a better surprise, shading. The vacant eye sockets and nose are painted really well, which is impressive for a mass-produced figure. Since Zephon is more machine than man, he sports 2 bionic arms, which are nicely weathered with a lighter gunmetal. I suppose that there's nothing too impressive about the chest area of Zephon, as there are only a few features that you can find on this part. There is obviously the large gunmetal bandolier that stands front and center. Aside from that, there is shading around the armor panel junctions and nice golden outlining that helps define the armor more. The torso here also matches the bareness of the chest. Now the waist area is where things start to diversify because the Bringer of Sorrow is clearly ready for war. You've got your standard frag and crack grenades in the back, but Zephon is also packing a more rare rad grenade too, and all these are secured by a ball and socket joint right here. This belt buckle definitely says that Zephon is loud and proud to be a Blood Angel due to its size as well as ornateness. The two things that immediately jump out to you when you are looking at the thigh region are these twin holsters that are for lament and grief. The black, red, and gold harmonizes perfectly with the rest of the aesthetic of the armor. I am a big fan of the texture and the detail of the holsters with the symbols and icons that are emblazoned on the front. Perhaps the most important but extremely simple detail is this ability to obviously holster the pistols, but then secure the pistols by pushing this pin of these straps into this hole right here. Zephon's right leg is the only one that is made of flesh and blood on his body, and it has been decorated with this golden edge on the armor as well as a fantastic shading gradient which gives off a softer sort of look. I find that the blending of the iron halo and the Blood Angels symbol to be perfect. Then on the left hand side there is more machinery that makes up his leg. You can clearly see some weathering on the cogs and gears, but otherwise this does prove to be a very highly detailed looking area.
I'll have to admit to you that I first found reviewing the Alpha Legion action figures for a while and then coming to this Blood Angels action figure to be slightly jarring. First of all, the colors completely contrast against each other. The armor goes from a high gloss to a matte red finish. But regardless, let's come to a conclusion on Zephon. I will have to say in general, this action figure does live up to my expectations. I really love the bionic appendages that is completely different from what we have seen in the Horus Heresy Blood Angels that have been released thus far. I'm also glad that there's no loss of movement on this action figure despite the changes in the bionic replacement parts. The decoration on the right pauldron, the knee area, as well as the jump pack is visually gratifying and optically pleasing. I suppose if I were to nitpick on something, it would be two very minor details versus obviously the shading that's on the face or the lack thereof, as well as make the left pauldron a little bit more ornate. So do I feel like this figure is worth the price of admission? I definitely would say yes for us Blood Angels enjoyers, but even for other collectors, this action figure ticks off all the Blood Angels type of aesthetics that you would want to kind of diversify your collection. So in order to diversify your collection, there is only one place to do it at, and that is at David Toys. As I have said many times before, they have a fantastic customer service base where they will try to work out any problems with you. And once again, they do provide free tariffless shipping. And before you click that checkout button, do not forget to input the code SNS to receive your 12% off. And with that being said, members of Chapter, once again, thank you so much for watching this action figure review. Again, I am extremely appreciative of all the likes, comments, and subscribes that I have been getting on the channel. Without you guys, this channel would be absolutely nothing. So I am very appreciative of you all. And I will see you all in a very big next one.